Barbie! I told you to wait in the dream house.
Boys, avenge me! Avenge me!
Avengers!
Bazinga.
Scruffy-looking nerf herders.
Ethan Hunt contacted you?
I am good, Rooster. I'm very good.
So you are Yoi's a trainer who trains.
Gonzo the Great will ride this baby again.
Hello and welcome to episode 61 of the Real Serious Podcast. As always, I'm your host Hunter along with Jack and Charles, and once again a special guest who is not too long since been on the pod, Danny, here for Mickey 17. So big Mickey 17 review today. Daredevil Born Again has returned and graced the screens. Before we do all that, how we doing, boys?
Phenomenal.
Good.
Charles is housing something down there in the corner.
Yeah, I just got back from the grocery store and I haven't had lunch, so I'm kind of speed eating some tenders.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So
For those of you that are listening, Charlie now has decorations
Oh,
on
he
his
made
wall. It
Two
only
episodes
took
behind, but he did it.
what I don't know.
We had 15.
What episode do you think you moved here or moved to Colorado, Chuck?
I don't know. Maybe like 35, 40.
Okay, so 26 episodes. And it
Yeah.
took 26
all
episodes to get some nice posters.
Yeah. And now we're living pretty well out here now with those kind of small.
Oh yeah.
But
It's moving
Yeah.
up in the world.
I went to I got these at a poster shop in Boulder, on Pearl Street. It's like their equivalent of Kirkwood. It was like exclusively just posters, like music posters, movies, TV shows. It's pretty sweet.
No, it's sick. Just
Heck
need an
yeah.
Anthony Ramos poster and we're all set.
That one's over there. You just can't see it. It's off
You
camera.
just can't see it.
But it's there, I promise.
But yeah. Danny, how you been the last 2-ish weeks since we talked to you last?
I've been good. A lot of work, but I've been working
Heck
from
yeah.
home, so getting the opportunity when I have the chance. I'm not in meetings to watch movies. Well, I'm knocking some stuff out, so I've seen like 9 movies this month, and it's the 9th. So that's kind of
That's
where
pretty
I'm at.
good.
That's pretty
Yeah, I'm plugging away.
That might be better than any of us right now.
Well, I had a good
Or
week.
maybe Hunter.
I had a real good week. After my last couple
Okay.
weeks being very poor, this is a good week.
Okay. I guess that's the perfect segue to just like what has
Yeah.
everyone been watching this week?
Yeah. I was going to start with Charles, but he's housing those tenders. I mean,
I just took
the ASMR must be insane right now. So, Jack, let's start with you and your very 90s shirt that I quite love.
It was honestly a pretty chill week for me too. Like so far, March has been just very relaxed. I watched a John Mulaney special. I think it's like New in Town, something like that. But I'd wanted to watch like a John Mulaney like comedy special for a while. He was pretty funny. I think like he's not my like perfect style of comedy, but I really do enjoy his comedy bits. I think he's got like a lot of voices. Obviously, with his voice very high pitched, he has a lot of opportunity to kind of like use that to his advantage, and he does in this special. So it was really fun to watch that. And then obviously I watched Mickey 17, was able to watch Daredevil Born Again, was really happy to get through that. I watched a pretty decent amount of again, for anyone that maybe hasn't listened, I did not watch the original Daredevil series, so I feel like I'm kind of like a cheater in the sense that I'm just kind of hopping on right now. But genuinely, I just did not have enough time to crank out like 3 seasons worth of Daredevil. So
It's okay.
I'm just gonna hop in now and maybe revisit the older ones in the future. But there's something else I watched, and for some reason it's just not. I watched Flow. That was like right after the Oscars, and I really liked Flow. I hate that you didn't like it, Chuck. I really like. It won Best Animated Picture, and you were pretty upset, and it's like I feel like, me and Caitlin put this off for so long. We had time after the Oscars, and we're like, let's just watch it, and we really liked it. But yeah, I guess I'd urge all of you to watch it if you have some time. It's literally like 84 minutes, and it's a pretty sweet movie. I feel like you're not going to watch it and be upset you watched it. But yet again, I could be wrong. I don't think you will be upset with it. I liked the animation. I think, and like initially you watch the movie and the animation is kind of like iffy, but like the further along in the movie you get, I think they have some really sweet like landscapes, or like not landscape, but kind of like horizon shots. Really, really pretty. I liked it. And I understand what you're talking about, Charlie, where you're saying it kind of felt like video gamey, but I feel like that was like a positive in my eyes. Like I feel like it looked kind of like video gamey, but like in a good way, not necessarily like a super mechanical, like ugly 2000s like video game. But yeah, very chill week for me. Then obviously Severance. So yeah, solid week, I guess. Still making,
Sounds like it.
On The Sopranos. Almost done with season 4. Got 2 episodes left of season 4.
I cannot wait for you to get to the end of the show.
Fine.
I'm excited.
Wait. I really hope
really
you don't get
excited.
spoiled the whole time, and I need to know how you feel about it.
I will. You guys will be the first to know, or I guess the second and third to know when I finish this show. So yeah, what you guys watch?
All right, I can go next. We recorded on Saturday, so I have an extra day of stuff. I rewatched. Did I tell you Wedding Crashers? Was that the last thing I talked about, or no?
I don't think you talked
so.
about it.
Yeah.
All right, so Wedding Crashers. Gave it 3 stars. I don't know. This early 2000s comedy, I think, holds up decently well, but not like it's not like the greatest thing in the world. But Anyone But You, my rewatch every single year, my Glenn Powell King. Have to rewatch it every single year. And also all-time director name for this movie. Do you guys know who directed this movie? His name is Will Gluck.
Wait, I thought
great name.
I thought it was Sydney Sweeney's like fiance that directed it.
Oh, I don't think so. I get unless she's engaged to Will Gluck.
Sydney
Gluck. So.
Sydney Gluck.
Should be crazy. But no, this thing is just like so charming in the best way. I love it. Which clearly, based on your guys' reviews, I'm a little higher on it than you guys, but that's okay. Then I watched The Color of Money, which joins the cinematic universe of Tom Cruise not being the best at something and then becoming the best at something by the end of the movie. Martin Scorsese, he's a pool hustler with Paul Newman. Really wish I learned pool now. I told Charlie this the other day. It's like, I really wish I had better pool skills from this movie. This is one of those where you'll like watch it and you're like, I have a new personality now. And you leave it and you're like, I got to become this guy. So that was pretty great. And then Oppenheimer. I don't know. It's just like, I got like in the Oppenheimer vibe and I was like, I gotta go back and rewatch it. It might be perfect. I actually do think it's up there with like perfect films, like 100 out of 100 easily. I also watched a different perfect film, which we'll get to in a second. But Mickey 17, we'll talk about later. And then I watched Shrek 1 and 2. Shrek 1, 4.5. Like, just so well done. The commentary is great. But Shrek 2, 5 out of 5. Might be the perfect animated family film. So well done. I love everything about it. Like, I don't get how it's so good. I think they're like the little jokes are my favorite part. The one where they're all depressed and Puss in Boots says he hates Mondays. Love a good Garfield joke. So just big fan there. Cops, where their police brutality was very funny every single time. Catnip, always funny. And then I finished the week off with Ghost from 1990, starring Patrick Swayze. A little weird, but I didn't not like it, so I give it 3 stars. So good week overall, for sure. I was cruising this week through some stuff. I got a chair. So this new chair has unlocked my ability to watch movies like tenfold. So yeah.
What kind of chair, Hunter?
Let me show. Can I show the chair? Let's see. Look at this bad boy. A little lounger. God. Yeah, look at that lounger, dude. That thing rocks.
God,
it's awesome.
Is it like can you turn on a massage?
Yeah. No, there's no massage, but it's got the reclining features. Oh, now my camera's all messed up.
Is it a manual reclining, or do you hold a button in?
Oh, I hold the button down. And you lied.
Lucky son of a gun.
Yeah.
I just
Bob's
feel like
Discount
Fathers
Furniture,
Everywhere.
not an ad. But
Fathers Everywhere just stood up and clapped.
yeah.
Yeah, Fathers Everywhere stood up, clapped, stood behind the chair for 25 minutes, and then finally decided to sit down, watch the movie.
Yeah, it's definitely an old man share in like the best possible ways.
Love it.
Yeah.
Me?
Sure.
Dan? All right. Well, so last week I wasn't able to watch any movies. With the extra day, though, I was still not able to watch any movies this week, and it stunk. But I do have a haul that I haven't been able to present the past few weeks. So some more Blu-ray finds, and I didn't show you the criterions that I got.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
boy.
starting with the normal Blu-rays, I got Deadpool and Captain America: Winter Soldier to add to the MCU. Jojo Rabbit, Men in Black 3, and this movie called Serenity. I don't know. It was a steelbook. Caught my eye. Might as well get a steelbook if it's there. But yeah. And then the criterions I got. Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah. This guy's moving up in the world.
Risky Business.
Yeah.
I got Parasite.
Bong Joon-ho.
The Grand Budapest Hotel. And 12 Angry Men.
Ooh, I love 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. And I caught up a lot on Severance. I tried really hard to catch up enough where I could talk on this week's episode. I had like a theory where you guys would be like, all right, Charlie, take your headphones off. And I would just be like, no, I'm not going to. But I'm not going to be able to carry that out because I only got to episode 7.
Damn. That's okay.
So
You're like,
close.
what, one behind.
It like really bummed me out. But yeah, that's all I got.
Danny, lay it on us. Lay it on
You know,
us.
it's kind of funny, Charlie. They were telling me last time I was on the podcast, is like, oh yeah, Charlie will come on here and he'll just start showing us all of the movies he bought the week. So pretty funny that you didn't see any movies, but you bought like 15.
That's the best part about collecting is you don't actually watch the movies. You just buy them.
You watch them sit on your shelf.
Yeah. Like they look so pretty on a
Watch
shelf.
them gather dust.
So I was actually wrong when I said I've seen 9 movies. I've seen 12 in the 9 days. Because I was like, I've seen a movie every single day, and some days I've rocked 2. So I was like, that math didn't add up. And I'm looking now, and since March has started, I've seen 12 movies. So I can't really I don't want to summarize all of them because it'll take too long, but I'll just give like a 1-sentence kind of review for the ones I've seen so far. So starting in the beginning of March, I saw Death Trap, which was Sidney Lumet movie. He's the guy who does 12 Angry Men, did Dog Day Afternoon. One of my favorite directors. Death Trap was really, really good, underrated movie. I think it's free on Prime if you guys want to watch it. It's got Alfred, Michael Caine in it. So just really fun movie. Face Off with Nick Cage and John Travolta, John Woo movie. One-word summary is insane, just awesome in every way. Then I watched Conclave. While we were watching the Oscars, we had 2 TVs going on, so we were ripping Conclave on the top TV.
That's crazy.
That's chaotic.
Yeah, Cinephile March Madness right there.
It was pretty fun, but Conclave, solid movie, 3.5 stars. Then next day, Shaun of the Dead, one of the last Edgar Wright movies that I haven't seen that I needed to see. Really fun movie, hilarious. Joey loved it. Next day, I ripped 3 movies because I had a lot of work from home to do and not a lot of meetings. So 500 Days of Summer, kind of, rom-com-ish. I don't know how much we're really calling it a rom because I'm kind of lacking in the rom aspect of the com, but fun movie. Then I watched True Grit I think it's my 14th or 15th Coen Brothers movie. Firmly in the middle of them, like probably 7 out of all the Coen Brothers, in my opinion. But great movie, 4 stars. Was really impressed with Haley Steinfeld's performance. She was like 14 years old, and she was probably like the most impressive actor slash actress, like starring with Matt Damon and Jeff Bridges. So, and I think Josh Brolin too. Then I watched A Real Pain. Again, trying to catch up on Oscar stuff. I was really moved by the movie, although, it meant a lot to me, like, because that's like my background, like being Jewish, and kind of reminding me of of the people in my life who have kind of had that influence on me. And so I can understand why, like, technically it's not like a great movie and why not a lot of people would like it. But it was, for me, I thought that it was, it connected with me a lot. So I really enjoyed it. Then on the 5th, Joey had never seen No Country for Old Men. So I was like, all right, like I'll rewatch that. Still 5-star movie, still amazing. I mean, like if you haven't seen it, it's a must watch. Then I watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That movie did not age well at all. Really, really just not, in a lot of senses, just not great for this day and age. But I mean, it's still Spielberg, like some great shots in that movie. Enjoyable, no complaints. Then I watched Blackberry the next day, Glenn Howerton, Jay Baruchel. Really enjoyed it. I love Glenn Howerton. Jay Baruchel is always great. And I also love like those documentary style movies kind of. It kind of reminded me a lot of The Big Short in the way that it was shot, which I really liked. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Hulu. Really fun watch. Then I watched Wolves 2 days ago with George Clooney, Brad Pitt. I think that's like the absolute floor for a movie with Pitt and Clooney. Like it was not good, but I still gave it like 3 stars because like the chemistry is great and like the banter's funny. But I mean, technically it was fine and the plot was kind of stupid. And then yesterday, Rip Mickey 17 in theaters, and I'll give my review on that obviously later. But yeah, that was my month so far. Today's gonna be the first day where I don't see a movie, presumably because I'm going to my parents for dinner later. But who knows? Maybe I'll come home and watch one.
You can turn one on during dinner.
Honestly, no one would complain.
In the background. There you go. Well, heck yeah.
Yeah, maybe turn on like Poor Things or something during the family dinner. I feel like that'd be like
anything from Your Girls Land
dinner
Meals,
watch.
honestly, would be like
Yeah.
be a big crowd pleaser.
Killing of a Sacred Deer is my favorite, but I don't know if that's really a dinner movie.
Depends on what you're eating, I think.
Yeah, venison.
Yeah. Well, since our last episode, the Oscars happened, as Danny kind of hinted at. And they kind of came and went. Down year for viewership. I think it was down like 4% from last year. But do we anything from the Oscars? I think Conan did good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
He was very funny.
I think the big upset was in the actress category, from at least what we believed. I really
won a little money on that.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did. I as soon as I got out of Honora, I was like, I said to myself, like, Mikey Madison's gonna win the Oscar for Best Actress, and I bet on her when she was a favorite, unfortunately. And then come yesterday, the day before the Oscars, like that morning, she's like a 4-1 underdog. I'm like, well, you know what?
Double down.
It happens. It's sunk cost fallacy if I try to double down or anything like that. And then she ended up winning, and I was like, well, I should have just kind of thrown a little bit more action on it that morning. But I was
wrote out.
How did you gamble on it?
There's a app called Kalshi where you can bet on stuff like that. It feels like a sponsorship right now, but yeah, a little sponsor
banner right now.
Yeah, if you guys want.
Thank you to our sponsor.
You guys want to bet on the Oscars? If you want to bet on music, it's basically anything on
the presidential election.
On the election. That's how I got the app. Was I was betting on the election. Did not go well, but still had a little money left over, so threw that on Mikey Madison.
Nice. Well, it's funny because I'd seen so many of those ads, like bet on the Oscars, and I was like, there's like certain things I felt pretty strongly about, but I was just like, I don't know, I just kind of want to watch it and enjoy it. So I think it's funny that you felt confident enough to throw some money there.
Yeah, well, I couldn't figure out how to withdraw what was left over after the election, so I was like, let me just throw it away. I could not find the withdraw button for the life of me.
That's funny. I want to say for us, we were pretty upset with. I think initially I was like, Adrian Brody telling the turn the music off. That's like a crazy.
I hate it.
It's insane. But then the more it sits with you, it's just he said turn the music off. I have more to say, and then proceeds to
say nothing,
not say anything.
I've done this before.
Yeah. If he was saying something like profound, or like it was a good speech, and you're like, all right, I want to hear more of it, it'd be a different story. He said nothing for like 5. He has the record now. It's like 5.5 minutes.
we were,
and then that
robbed.
one guy got booted off stage before he even got to talk.
It was
the
so
Dune guy.
sad.
He threw his gum at his wife too.
Wild move.
It's maniac.
Yeah, we were totally robbed of a Chalamet like awesome, amazing Oscar speech. Like
Run
towards
through
the
a
end, I was just
football
like,
speech.
please, like anyone besides Adrian Brody. I was like,
Should have
I
been
just
Coleman
want
Domingo.
exactly my
Ray
glorious
Fiennes.
king. Coleman Domingo was just fitted to the max.
They made that joke. They made our Ralph Fiennes joke on the
Yeah.
Oscars.
Yeah,
Yeah, Conan literally was like, if you lose, you're Ralph now. And I was like, yeah, I know. I've been saying it for weeks on this podcast. But yeah,
He's a listener.
Conan's a big listener, so that's okay.
So you
He's
guys see
coming
the
on in a couple weeks.
Coleman Domingo. Actually, you guys might have sent this, but he like led the crowd in dancing during commercial breaks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm
loved it.
not shocked though that the viewership was down. There wasn't like I don't know, it's hard because the Oscars I think have gotten so, I don't want to say like artsy, but like I think you need to have like the big cultural moment movie that's also up for something. We just didn't have it this year.
I think Barbenheimer was
huge.
pretty big draw last year.
The opening for the Oscars was
Oh my God.
amazing though, with the performance from Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande.
I thought you were talking about the Conan thing.
Oh no, I don't waste time.
Listen, no, the Conan with the substance should have been him coming out of Jay Leno. That would have been infinitely more funny and would have been perfect. Because late night heads like me, Jay Leno stinks. Hate that guy.
What? You don't like Jay Leno?
No, Jay Leno stinks.
I love Jay Leno.
Ugh. No, Jay Leno, no, bad.
What
bad,
do you have
bad
against
dude.
Jay Leno? Because
Everything.
I've heard this before, and I don't get why people don't like him.
Jay Leno. All right, little late night history here. Jay Leno
Are
was
you talking about
retiring.
like when he stole like the show?
He stole the Tonight Show back from Conan. Yeah,
You snooze, you
ridiculous.
lose, man. You snooze, you lose.
he wasn't snoozing. He was quite literally doing the show. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'll never forgive him, but it's okay.
I like Jay Leno.
Have you heard this one? That's all his jokes are. Have you heard that? Have you heard about this? It sucks.
But
I'm anti
everything I've seen, I feel like this Oscars were like, I think Conan was good, but I think other than that, it was just very stale. I feel like there wasn't a lot of surprises. Like obviously Dune winning for, cinematography and sound design was awesome, but yet again, it was like nothing compared to how big of a slap it. Like I can't even believe that like Denis Villeneuve like actually showed up, because I would have been so disrespected. The fact that he wasn't even nominated for best director.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And also, like, I think editing, like, I think they just like pick random stuff at this point. Like, sorry, like we all liked Wicked. Wicked should not have been on there for editing. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, and also costume design. I loved the costumes of Wicked. Those costumes were the same costumes, basically, with a little bit more flair that they did in the actual like production of the show on Broadway. They were very similar costumes. I just think that it should go to like an original costume versus like almost an adaptation of what's already been done.
See, Hunter, that's interesting because I was reading something yesterday about Hans Zimmer talking about how I think it was the score for Dune 2 wasn't getting nominated because he reused a lot of the stuff from Dune 1. So do you then agree that essentially with that argument that if it's he's reusing stuff from Dune 1, even though it's original from Dune 1, that it shouldn't be up for best score?
I think that if you took the elements, so I think there could be two different things. In the world that we live in now of like sequels, I think that you could have the best, like maybe like soundtrack within it versus it as a whole. Like I think, but also I think for this year, Challenger should have been nominated because that was a way better score than what won. But I think that you could take elements of it because here, that's the hard thing too, is you have, all right, but Indiana Jones has won like 6 times. Just because it's Indiana Jones. Like, so I think if you took like individual pieces out where it's like, all right, like you said, I'm not going to redo Paul Atreides' theme, but the new things that he did, I think could be on their own what's nominated if it's good enough.
Because I think that's what shocked me. I think Wicked was up for best score. And I was just kind of like, I don't understand how Wicked is here and Dune Part 2 isn't. Because I feel like Wicked has such a massive foundation for what this score is built on, as opposed to
yes,
and very similarly to Dune Part 2. So I was just kind of confused why Wicked was nominated in that area. I don't know.
I also think that there's something to be said about like big movies not being nominated for Oscars. And I'm not saying like the Avengers needed to be nominated, or like, I don't know what came with this last year, like, I don't know, something like Spider-Man or something, whatever.
Twisters.
But, yeah, well, actually, that maybe a different conversation. But like, you go back and you look at Best Picture winners from like the past, and they were big movies during that time. Like, they were like one of the bigger movies of the year, but they were still high level. And I think the last time we really got something like that was with Oppenheimer. But if you go back to the 70s, like Rocky, Best Picture winner, Godfather 1 and 2, Best Picture winners, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Best Picture winner. Even in the 80s, you have things like Platoon, Rain Man, Driving Miss Daisy. In the 90s, Dance with the Wolves, Silence of the Lambs, Schindler's List, like big
In the
movies. Nothing happened in the 2000s.
Return of the King.
We're not.
I just think that in the last like 8 to 10 years, we've gotten more focused on like the art, and it's not a negative, but like I think that there's been a disconnect between audiences and what the Oscars are celebrating, which I think is the issue.
And this is where the subject again arises. We were talking about it or texting about it during the Oscars, but it's like the amount of Dune disrespect was just, it felt so. And obviously, with the Academy putting a lot more weight on the more artsy films, it really doesn't give Dune a lot of room to succeed.
Well, and people
brings
need
up-
to watch it.
Yeah, that's the thing that just drives me crazy, because I'm like, it's so frustrating that this is such a good movie, and people are like, science fiction as a genre has been long ignored by the Academy, because I don't even think I can pull up. I don't even know if there even is a science fiction winner.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I mean, I guess. Okay, great, thank you.
2001 one?
Is there? Can you give me another one?
I'm scrolling.
At least in the 2000s, that might be like the only one.
Yeah, no, not really.
But I mean, like, unless you include like Lord of the Rings, which that's just more like fantasy.
Yeah, it's fantasy.
I wouldn't really put that in the realm of science fiction. But the Academy, like, for them, like, I would even say that Everything Everywhere All at Once is a more artsy, like, science fiction flick. It's not necessarily. I'm not saying it has to be Interstellar or it has to, but like, we brought up again the question: Dune Part 2, is it getting the right treatment, as opposed to how Charlie was saying that Return of the King, if they swapped places, would they receive the same treatment? How would that look? I don't know. I'm very scared of how this is going to happen, because if people aren't watching Dune Part 2, or at least some of the Academy voters aren't watching these movies already, and they make Dune Messiah, and this is up, like, what's going to make that, like, for how good Dune Part 2 was, how good does Dune Messiah have to be for them to be like, oh, I should probably catch up on these movies?
Well, I was texting you guys about this. I to an extent, I see where the Oscar voters are coming from. I think it's their job to watch these movies, so like it's pretty screwed up that they didn't. But Hunter knows, he tried to get me to watch Dune, and I just couldn't follow it. I wasn't into the story. It's like pretty complicated, especially on your first watch.
But I think that there's something to be said, like, where it's like, all right, is Dune that much less accessible than, like, I don't know, look at last year, like Poor Things. I would argue that those are pretty equivalent level accessible movies to like the average viewer. Like, I would even say Dune's more accessible. It's like how you understand it.
To be fair, and I feel like the Academy would like it more if it's a little bit more difficult to understand. If for the average viewer, it is maybe not seen as. I feel like they kind of choose to go more towards those movies where it may be more open-ended and it's not necessarily the most mainstream movie.
I also think it's annoying that it's not annoying, but I think it's hard too, because like I watched this with my parents, like the Oscars, and for them, like obviously I'm pretty into movies and like they're kind of like adjacent to it. They had only seen 2 of the Best Picture nominations, like, and with that, yeah, okay, Wicked was pretty accessible. They just didn't have a chance to see that. But The Substance, like I told you guys in the podcast, I had to like drive an extra 30 minutes to find a theater that was even playing The Substance. I'm still here. I still can't find. Nickel Boys is like impossible for me to find right now. Like it's like an hour and a half away. Conclave is fine. Like, but I just think the accessibility of these movies need to be much higher, where it's like, all right, if we're going to have like, because that's the big complaint is like, our streaming's ruined everything. All right, if we're going to have all this excess of streaming, then we should have these things on streaming at least after the fact they go through the theatrical runs. We can actually watch them before the Oscars. So now we're all not sitting around during the Oscars going like, oh, I really wish I saw any of these things. I haven't seen any of these movies, because I think that hurts them just as much.
100%. It just like pisses me off so much that like I'm still here and Nickel Boys have gotten like great reception from so many people that have seen it, and I haven't been able to see it.
Yeah.
And I want to, you know, and it's so infuriating to the fact that these are movies that are up for, I mean, I would even say the same for Sing Sing, because I think I'm the only person here that's seen that movie. And I think that's like easily like a top 3 movie for me of last year.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it finally comes to Max like at the end of this month. So at least that'll start. But like it's been a
ridiculous.
But yeah.
I guess that's it for Oscars talk.
Unless Danny got anything else? Cool. All right. Well, in a complete 180, Vin Diesel says that the MCU wants to do a movie about Groot and their Planet X story. Is that that's something that tickles our fancy?
No.
All right. I thought so.
Not me, at least.
Just 2.5 hours of I am Groot.
I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Wait, no, we can already understand him.
I am
well,
Groot.
maybe we can understand him.
Well, yeah.
But
if it's his origin, I feel like we like wouldn't, right?
I'm gonna save.
But if the audience is,
I forget that we can understand him now. You know.
I am Groot.
Yeah. That's
I would watch an origin story that's like kind of environmentalism focused with a Groot, kind of like a Lorax remake, but with Groot instead of the Lorax.
He is literally does speak for the trees. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I'd watch that.
The Rocket Groot meeting each other origin.
That'd go crazy. They're like dancing at the high. They're at the high school dance, and they just look across the gym, and Rocket's just like they lock eyes.
Yeah,
man.
That'd be pretty
crazy. Vin Diesel's just saying stuff at this point.
He's just hoping things happen.
What was his post? I don't know if you saw that, Danny. But Vin Diesel had like the craziest post you could possibly think of. Post like everything that was happening in LA, and he was like, at times like this, we need to focus on making the next Fast and Furious movie. And it's just
he edited it. He edited the post.
What are you talking about?
He changed the post. It's different now. The caption's different.
Did he make
Someone definitely has the original.
It's shorter.
Is it not tone deaf anymore?
It's a lot less tone deaf, but it's still
so tone deaf.
It's
it was
so
crazy.
Wild. Whoa, what's this one? Dude, his Instagram is the funniest thing in the world. I think he has an AI photo of him just like right now on fire. Hang on, let me find out what this is. It's not coming up.
Yeah, I got the original. So it said, last week during the fires that displaced LA, my sister Jordana reached out to me and said, please have Universal film the rest of Fast X Part 2 in LA. Los Angeles needs it now more than ever. Los Angeles is where Fast and Furious started filming 25 years ago, and now Fast will finally return home. All love.
All right, here. How about this one? It's him holding a dove, and it says, a bird in the hand. Excited to share updates next month. Hashtag Toretto. Hashtag Riddick. Hashtag Groot. Hashtag Xander.
Hashtag Dude, Groot.
He rocks. I love that guy.
Also, I'm bringing this up because we talked about this in the group chat. A Fast X like review. I understand that it is inevitable. I understand it's inevitable.
Love Fast and Furious,
but in the nicest way possible. Considering that we would do that episode basically like the weekend of my graduation, I do not want to spend the last like couple weeks of school sitting inside watching Dom Toretto. I'm going to be outside enjoying my time with my friends before I graduate. I'm not going to spend time with that family until after I graduate.
Hey, you got to spend time with family. It's graduation. That's dude. He's the best. How do you not love him? There's a if you haven't seen it, there's a part in Fast 4 where he like does basically has like a super powered moment where he like reverses a car crash that he sees based on like one scruff on the ground and knows exactly what happened in this car crash. It's an incredible scene that never comes up ever again. It's awesome.
It's like some Batman stuff right there. Just...
And then in Fast 7, I don't want to spoil it. No, it's so
I've
good,
only
dude.
seen the first one.
In Fast 7, he does like, it's so, he stomps.
I promise.
This will not ruin the movie. He stomps on top of a parking garage, and that one stomp creates a chain reaction that brings the whole parking garage down. It's great. It's so awesome.
But I will do the marathon and rewatch those movies, but like, please, I need a little bit more time. Like, let me do it when I'm like sitting in my house and I'm like, there's nothing else I can watch. I have to watch the Fast and Furious movies.
I don't want to. I don't know if I need to watch that marathon.
Danny, have you seen any of these?
Yeah, Joey and I just rewatched. Well, I hadn't seen a couple of them, but we started at once. We watched 1, 2, 3. Then he's like, "Oh, I heard 4 is not good," so we skipped 4. Then watched 5.
Fast 5 is awesome.
At the Paul Walker one,
we stopped though.
No. Fast 5 is when they go to Rio.
Yeah, they were in Rio, and then I think we stopped at 5 because that's when The Rock gets introduced.
Yeah, playing the best character ever.
Yeah, and then we were gonna watch 7, but we never got around to it because we just got sick of the franchise. But I've seen 10, or not 10. I've seen 9, and I've seen Hobbs and Shaw also. But I haven't seen 7. I know that's the one I still need to see. I heard
5 and 7 are probably the best ones.
I thought 1 is the best. I actually really enjoyed 1.
Tokyo Drift, also sneaky, might be one of my favorites.
Tokyo Drift was terrible, I thought.
No, what?
I thought it was so bad.
What? You didn't love the ending when he comes up and Vin Diesel comes up to him, he's like, "Yo, I used to know Han back in the day." It's so great.
The only thing that saved that movie was the aesthetic and the music. Like the plot was atrocious, I thought.
Hang on, wait, which one is? Okay. So wait, at the end of, have you seen 6?
How many are there?
Wow.
So the end of 6, you know, they retcon the ending of Tokyo Drift.
Well, when does Han come back?
He comes back in 10.
How many?
No, he comes back before that. He comes back.
No, he comes back in 10. No, because he comes back. He's in 5 and 6, but then he's gone in 7 because 7 actually takes place before Tokyo Drift. But then in the end of 6, they retcon what happened at the end of Tokyo Drift because it ends up being Jason Statham.
There are 13.
No, that can't be right. They're gonna make 13.
I think there's 11, right?
There's 10 mainline and then Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, so 11. Who's watching these movies? I mean, I guess me.
This guy, dude. Let me tell you, going to a Fast and Furious movie opening night is just the greatest experience of all time. It's a bunch of dudes who drag their girlfriends and wives there who do not want to be there, and everyone's just saying "Salute me, familia." It's awesome. It's so awesome. It used to be about cars, and now it's just not, and it's great.
Well, the first one I saw was like 9, and they went into space, and I was like, "This doesn't make any sense."
Yeah, they did. The first one they started stealing VHS tapes,
It wasn't
and then
like they were in an air. Like they did something to modify a car where they were in space in the car, and I was watching this. I was like, "Are all the other movies like this just unbelievably stupid?"
No, they're crazier. No. They're crazier.
Whenever I think of Hobbs and Shaw Hunter, I always think of that Lights Camera Barstool episode.
La-di-da-di-da. Hobbs and Shaw. That video is so good.
It's crazy.
This is, oh man, I love this series.
Way too much Fast and Furious talk for me today.
Yeah, not enough, actually.
I did not have that on my to-do list.
All right, do we want to do? I'm going to save the Avengers news because we're going to tie it into the Electric State talk here in a second. But Harry Potter. So we got some more casting announcements for Harry Potter. Let me pull up some names here. This is a bad article. This does not list them in the way that I wanted it to be. Okay. Sorry for butchering this name, but Papa Esu has officially been cast as Severus Snape in the upcoming Harry Potter series. and the internet acted exactly in the way you'd expect. They were really calm and cool and not judging at all about it. They also found McGonagall. I didn't know that, with Janet McTeer as McGonagall. So yeah, Harry Potter news. Any thoughts on that?
With all these castings, I'm totally fine with it. I'm not.
I need to see who Harry and Ron and Hermione. That's who I care about.
They need to make Ron like tall.
Was Ron tall?
Yeah, he's really tall and skinny in the books.
And super ginger.
They're gonna bring the guy in from Alien Romulus. He's gonna play Ron.
The ending alien. That'd be so good. I just don't get why we're doing this. Like, Charles, I feel like you're the Harry Potter guy in the pod. Unless Danny is. I don't know if Danny is a Harry Potter guy.
You've seen or read the books.
All right, so perfect. Charles, why did they not just do like, on Yellowstone, they did like 1883 and they have all those other spin-off shows. Why can't we get like 1885 and it's just Hogwarts during that time? Like, I don't get why we have to do Harry Potter again. I feel like we could have done something so different and cool.
Didn't I bring this up like 4 episodes ago? Like, why are they recreating Harry Potter? And you guys were like, "Oh, because like they're like it's good." Didn't I?
I mean, it is good, I guess.
I said
like 4 episodes.
I said because there's so much more depth in the books than they're able to bring to life in the movies. For example, the relationship between Ginny and Harry in the movies is terrible.
Well, is that the movie's fault or is that the actress that played Ginny's fault? Because we've talked about that.
I think it's what they set up. I don't think it's the actress.
Water could have played that character better than Ginny Weasley's actress.
Whoa!
But they didn't give. I don't think they gave her anything to work with.
Yeah, she's in the movies for like 8 minutes and then she becomes like the wife.
The thing is, they very briefly like see each other, like, and then they just somehow have this like love for one another.
There's no charisma. That's the problem. It could have been fine. I'm convinced she didn't read the books beforehand, so she doesn't know how to like. What?
But if they didn't write the scenes and she can't do them.
No, there's a scene that I'm thinking of. I think it's in it's the 6th movie.
This is what happens when you read books.
When they're in the room of requirement. Am I the only one that knows the scene?
You're talking to a group of folks that don't know how to help you here.
I'm not right, but I'm on the side that it's not her fault. I think for the most part, like, sure, I don't think she gives like an Oscar-worthy performance, but it's like Harry Potter. So I'm not like, I don't know. I think they can go more in depth with this show, and I think it'll be interesting. I'll watch. I don't think I'll like find myself rewatching this like over and over again like I do with the movies. But
yeah, I don't know why they just wouldn't do like a different. I would watch Harry Potter stuff. I just don't think I need to watch the same story again. There
were a lot of like fan theories, or maybe I don't know if theories is the right word, but people wanted to see like a prequel show of the Marauders, which you guys might not know.
The Marauders map. I know that.
So the 4 people that wrote it were Harry's dad, Severus, Professor Lupin, and Wormtail. They're like the Marauders. People want to see a show about them when they were at school, like meeting Lily.
That would have been cool.
They should have just done Euphoria season 5, like just in the Harry Potter world.
But they wanted they wanted Timothy Chalamet to play Severus. They wanted Andrew Garfield to play Lupin.
These Harry Potter fans do not know how casting works on a payment scale.
No, definitely not.
It's like Lakers. It's like Lakers fans. Like we're like, God, we're in trade talks to get everybody.
But like that would have been really cool. I suppose I understand that they're making the show, Jack, to go into more depth. I just think that people are like inevitably just going to compare it to the movies, and the movies have become so loved over the past 2 decades that like no one's going to be happy with it.
It'd be sick if they did like a Ted Lasso, but it was about Quidditch. I would watch that.
Yeah.
Or like what's like a Hard Knocks, but it's a Quidditch team they follow. That would be sick. Crazy. All right, I'm in on that. All right, James Bond. We talked about it last time. So now the news came out. Apparently, Apparently Jeff Bezos was asked the Broccoli's to make a Money Penny show, and they were like, "That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard." And then Jeff Bezos proceeded to just say, "All right, buy out whatever it costs to get the franchise from them. I'm over dealing with them." And then they did. So the Broccoli's one last stand was a good call, and now doesn't look good for Mr. James Bond. That's why they had the funeral at the Oscars, because they know he's about to die.
That's exactly what that was. It was the craziest sequence
of the death of James
We're sitting
Bond.
there and Caitlin's like, what is this? Like, what are they doing right now? Like, everyone, it just felt to me like they're like, we're saying goodbye to James Bond as we know it. And
Jacob Elordi, James Bond.
No disrespect to the individuals that performed the iconic,
Who's Lisa?
Iconic songs. Like,
yeah, that's tough.
I don't know
on Twitter afterwards.
Some of these iterations of the songs, and I understand Adele is expensive, Billie Eilish is expensive. Like those are not easy artists to just pick up. But like, how awesome it would have been if you got the original artist to like sing some of these songs, and then if they brought on like Daniel Craig and like Pierce Brosnan, like if they brought in a bunch of the past Bonds, how awesome that would have been. But instead we got Margaret Qualley biting her lips so hard and then proceeding to just run around and dance for a couple minutes. It was, I don't know. I was just so confused about what they were doing the entire time that was going on.
Well, he died, so they had to celebrate him.
No,
also,
he's not dead. He's not dead.
I know that it's expensive to get, like Billie Eilish and like big artists. It's the Oscars.
Yeah. I also did love
there's some tweets for that, pal.
There's some tweets saying that Christopher Nolan is being eyed to direct the next James Bond movie, and all the replies were like, Christopher Nolan also is being eyed to direct my wedding video. I would also like Christopher Nolan to direct this. It's just like, all right, yeah, for sure. If there's a James Bond cinematic universe, though, I'm about to be so bummed out. I need some class with my cinematic universes. James Bond doesn't deserve that.
I wish they had another James Bond. If there is another James Bond, that would have been cool.
I don't need a young Bond show, and then like by the 8th episode, he becomes Bond.
The
ending of season 1 is him playing poker, and they ask him what his name is, and he finally says Bond, James Bond.
And like, sir, what would you like to drink? And he's like, whoa.
Some screenwriter just wrote that down and is about to steal that from us, but that's okay. All right, let's talk about the Russo brothers, because this was the best piece of news all week. The Russo brothers hyping up The Electric State, one of the most expensive movies of all time, costing $320 million. They were asked about Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. And they said Doomsday would have a 2.5-hour runtime, and Secret Wars would be 3 hours. And then all of the internet folks were like, this isn't long enough. I need 4 hours each. But then the reviews hit for The Electric State, and it debuted on Rotten Tomatoes with a 11% tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes. Now it is sitting at 23%, so it's only going up. So pretty soon it'll be in the early 30s, maybe, if we're lucky. This movie cost $320 million. It's not going to theaters. It's going to be a streaming release we forget about in about 3.5 days. Insane.
Have you guys seen the budget breakdown for Red 1? So it has the budget breakdown of Red 1, and it's like this just astronomical amount of money. It was like 300 something or like 250, something crazy. And right next to it has a comparison of a bunch of movies that were nominated for like Oscars or Golden Globes. And literally it has like tiny slivers, and it's like a Nora, and it's like, $10 million or something like that. And it's just all of these super awesome movies that we got this year. And that all equates to one Red 1 movie. Yeah. This is the vibes that I'm getting.
I just don't get how this is. What is Netflix's game plan with this? Why would you not do like 32 or 34 $10 million movies instead? And just like try new directors out and see what sticks. Then you finally could find somebody for like the next generation. But no. Insane move.
It's averaging 1% per review.
Yeah, it is.
22 reviews.
Yeah, it is. Well, since they directed Avengers Endgame, which has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, and all of their MCU credits are above 90. Oh, sorry, above 85. With Avengers Infinity War is 85. They directed Cherry with 37%, The Gray Man 45%, and now The Electric State with 23%. And now they're being handed back Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. So cannot wait. Very hyped. Also, we are going to have to watch this next week and review it because I cannot wait to see this. This is going to be so awesome.
I just
so pumped.
I don't think this really changes how I feel for Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah, honestly,
it's just kind of like, you know, I feel like, or I would like to think that Marvel knows that they have to make this movie entertaining.
No shot it comes out in May, though. No shot.
Yeah, I mean,
I just don't think so.
I find it very interesting. Like, I feel like I could have told you, right, whenever they presented this movie to Netflix and said, hey, you know, we're looking for $320 million, whatever they were saying. I mean, I'm no expert, but I could have told you, hey, you're not going to get your return on investment on this. Like, there's no chance. So I'm wondering who's in the position right now at Netflix or just at like any of these streaming companies where they're like greenlighting this stuff. Because it just boggles my mind. I don't recall the last movie like in this vein to get a budget like that and actually have a positive return on investment. Like, unless you're James Cameron doing Avatar, you know, like movies that have this budget are just consistently flopping. It just blows my mind that someone's like, yeah, you know, $320 million. Like, honestly, maybe we'll get a return on investment. Like, does anyone truly believe that they're going to get their money back when they sign these contracts? It's shocking to me.
I have so it is it's the most expensive streaming service movie of all time. It would be the 12th most expensive movie ever. It'd just be below Avengers Infinity War, expensive wise.
Yeah. You know what's funny? It's like we watched Carry On at the end of last year, and that was a Netflix movie that I think we enjoyed. Like,
yeah,
that was kind of a rare gem from Netflix in our eyes. But guess what the budget for that movie is?
No way it's over 100.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely not.
Okay. I thought you were about to say, like, because if it is, the Netflix insider trading, and we need to figure out how to work for Netflix because we need to get some of these checks.
Yeah, because I still feel like for what we got in that movie, I still feel like this number is way too high. So
are you gonna say like 55?
It's 47.
That's too much.
And I'm like, that movie was like, I enjoyed my time with it, but I just feel like there's a way to make that movie in under.
What costs so much?
Like, I mean, Taron Egerton and I don't know.
Well, the reason that Electric State cost so much, they had to pay Millie Bobby Brown to actually be in a movie. She hates movies. She can't do them.
She loses her attention.
You know, I was talking to a friend about that, and they're like, well, she was kind of like thrown into the acting scene very early in her life, very young. So, like, I guess it would make sense for her to kind of like treat this more of a profession than like a love, like some people who kind of, but it still doesn't hit me the right way. The fact that she's like, yeah, I really don't watch movies. I don't enjoy watching movies. And I'm like, that's like a profession.
She's like the most British woman ever.
It'd be like if Anthony Edwards came out and it's like, yeah, like basketball sucks, dude. Like, I hate watching basketball.
So it's like, what's that guy who likes his horses? Yeah, Jokic. Yeah, she's the Jokic of acting right now, except for she's not as good.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah,
no MVPs.
No MVPs. Yeah, I haven't seen her around with MVP once.
He's making a Stranger Things ring. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm actually more excited to see this now, being honest. Apparently, like, for how bad it's supposed to be, but we'll see.
This is 2.5 hours.
Oh, it's got to be easily. Easily. The Russo brothers only can do 22-minute television and 2.5-hour movies. That's all they can do. All right, let's get into some trailers unless anyone else has anything. All right, so we just talked about Electric States. We'll skip that trailer. But the only other one really is Bambi: The Reckoning. Did we all see this?
This is screaming the Winnie the Pooh.
It was
is.
so hard.
It's their cinematic universe.
It's part of the
right?
Pooniverse. It's part of the Twisted Childhood universe, also known as the Pooniverse. No, you think I'm joking? They have an Avengers team up coming later this year. I can run you through the. Do you want me to run you through the movies in the cinematic universe?
Why
They're
not?
pretty. Okay, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, Bambi, this Bambi movie, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, Pinocchio Unstrung, and then later this year is Pooniverse Monsters Assemble. And the concept art is Winnie the Pooh riding Bambi.
There's no way that's
Yes,
no Poon.
the Pooniverse.
You know, I've never
No
actually
way
met
this
anyone
is-
who's seen any of these movies in person. Like, other than
Apparently,
the-
Blood and Honey 2 is decent.
are
Apparently.
these streaming anywhere?
You know, they probably are on Mubi. That seems like a movie thing. A Mubi or like a Tubi. Tubi would for sure have one of these.
Something that's free with ads somewhere.
Yeah. On
You know,
Shutterflix.
when this idea initially came out, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, like, ha ha ha, like Winnie the Pooh is like a murderer. That's kind of cool. But I think it's
Oh, they're on Peacock.
overextended. It's overextended its stay for sure.
They're all on Peacock.
It's time to pull the plug.
I like to imagine that there's like a big Winnie the Pooh universe guy out there who's just like pumped beyond belief for these movies.
He's got all.
There's
the
always
popcorn.
someone. There's always someone out there who's like an absolute stand for the most obscure, random like. movie
Yeah.
scenes. So like, you'll find them. I guarantee you, there's one.
Like, do they have post-credit scenes, you think? Like, are they like at the end of it, it's like Winnie the Pooh pulling up to Bambi and he's like, I'd like you to join the Monsters Initiative? Like, it has to be, right?
Is Christopher Robin part of these movies?
Yes. Apparently
Yeah.
Christopher Robin, I think, dies. Winnie the Pooh like kills him in the second one.
Oh,
I wanna
okay.
say
I should have known.
Yeah.
I want to say he leaves and like he gets upset with all. of them, and
Yes,
it's
that
when they
seems
come
right.
back.
I think he
And that's, like,
forgets
the
about them in the
plot of
100
the
Acre
first-
Woods.
The fact that I know that feels like I know too much. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So whenever these monsters do assemble, I think we're gonna have to touch on it for sure. Hey, if it makes you feel better, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 has a double the Rotten Tomato score of the Electric State. So clearly one of these is working a lot better than the other.
I'll compare the budgets.
Yeah. I think the
What is
first
it? Probably like 5 million, maybe.
I bet it's less than $1 million. Winnie the
The
Pooh.
first one's probably this new one's probably like what?
The first so Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, $100,000 the first one. Then the second one they went up to $1 million. If I think this is like group of the people, like if you like Terrifier, this is like for you. Like this is like your kind of movies because we are not Terrifier people.
And next in your budget, the second movie is pretty impressive. Let's keep that pace up.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge.
I want
Can't wait
the
to see it in
$100 million
IMAX.
Monsters whatever movie. Monsters Assemble.
Yeah, the Monsters Assemble is gonna be insane. I think Piglet does not survive the second one. So sorry, all the Piglet fans out there. He will not be in the crossover.
Bro, I can just feel like Tigger's just bouncing on his like tail.
Oh,
and he's
definitely
got-
killed
he's
somebody
got-
with the tail.
He's got like a knife attached to it, and he's just like boing, boing, boing. Like it's got to be insane.
When is this coming out? I actually feel like we should definitely send just Charles to see this.
Not again.
Okay, what other like creatures could they do? Like, could they do like Little Red Riding Hood? Is she
Hey.
part of this group?
I feel like I remember something with Eeyore. I don't know why. Am I
Oh,
right?
bother. Yeah, so I'm looking at like this concept art. Oh, they have the Mad Hatter in here.
Dude, like, what if they did like Beauty and the Beast, but like instead of like the Beast being a nice guy, he's just like out to kill everyone that steps inside.
Company is
There you
releasing these movies.
So right now they're in phase 1, and then they're gonna go to phase 2 after the Monsters Assemble, where they're gonna have Awaking Sleeping Beauty, Alice and the Mad Hatter, and then Snow White Returns.
So is this Disney?
No, this is like the the public domain cinematic universe.
Yeah, because
Oh.
the IP is so old that it kind of like,
Yeah, once they enter the
out.
public domain, like they're good to go.
So I think they're just waiting on more. more.
I think it's like one guy who like just made this as a joke, and now it's starting to work. It's like INT Studios is like his thing. Yeah, the Twisted Childhood universe.
It's crazy.
Insane move.
I will say I think we missed the trailer. I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, we skipped the trailer completely when we were talking about this. What do we think about the trailer for those who actually watched it? Not good.
It was exactly what you would expect. But
yeah,
the crazy thing was it was hard for me to find.
Yeah, not easy to locate. But I did
felt
find
like I was on a scavenger hunt to find this trailer, and I finally watched it, and I was like, it's a trailer I've seen.
I actually am impressed though they made Bambi an actual deer and not like a dude in like a deer costume. I will give them credit for that.
They gotta stay accurate.
Yeah. I hope that the beginning of this is like basically the story of Bambi, but then Bambi has a big vendetta against the actual hunter who killed his mom. And he's like just like a training montage to get jacked and then comes back for him. That'd be great. But then there's Pinocchio Unstrung, which comes out later this year. So
they're like torturing, like he like just grows his nose out and just cuts people up with it.
He like pins them against a wall and starts lying until like his nose goes through them and kill them. Yeah.
You're onto something there.
I think so. And then there's also Screamboat, which we didn't talk about. But that's the now that old version of Mickey Mouse is, I guess, in the public domain. They did like a horror movie with him.
Where he's whistling, like I could imagine like they slow down the whistle and it's just
make it real creepy.
Yeah.
Well, he's like running a knife against the wall for sure. That's definitely we called this right now. But yeah, that was the one trailer we had, and then we can get into some reviews. Oh,
got there was like the new Thunderbolts teaser.
Oh yeah, I didn't write that down. The Thunderbolts We Like Cinema one.
It was epic. I don't know if any.
It was actually Thunderbolts does look really good.
I'm very excited for this movie.
This felt like a trailer to get Danny back into the theaters to see an MCU movie. That's what it felt like.
I'm gonna end up watching all of them. It's like that's the problem. Is I can't quit it.
I'll be there for the slop.
My expectations are never gonna be high again, but I'll just go. I mean, I don't know.
There's worse addictions to have, Danny. You could be a massive Fast and the Furious lover.
Whoa! You could be a Pooniverse guy. All right, let's go there first.
All right, I agree.
God forbid I ever succumb to either of those afflictions. I'm not even addicted to Marvel. I just, I can quit whenever I want. So we'll see.
Yeah, I can quit whatever. All right, so they teased part of this from the stars of Midsummer, A Different Man, and You Hurt My Feelings. Kind of weird they didn't shout out Little Women there. But all right, whatever. The writers and directors of Beef, the cinematographer of The Green Knight, the production designer of Hereditary, the editor of Minari, the composers of Everything Everywhere All at Once, comes Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts. I think this is going to be the best movie of the year for Marvel. I think it's be better than Fantastic Four, and I think it's just hilarious that's going to happen. I love it.
That teaser reminds me. I don't know if you guys ever seen this like graphic where it's like where they were describing David Montgomery, and they were like the feat of Saquon Barkley. Like, it's like you the amalgamation of all
build the perfect guy
players to build like the most slightly above average running back. Like
that's like what college announcers love to do when they're like, this guy reminds me quite a bit here of a young Barry Sanders. I love this guy. Look at the explosive maneuvers.
Now here's a guy.
Yeah, here's a guy who'd love to date your daughter. That's a classic. He's even better in the classroom than he is out of it. Love that. All right, but then that's it. We can get into some reviews. We want to touch on Invincible. This was the Invincible War this week. I mean, Chuck's already read them all, so he's known what's going to happen.
But I was pretty excited for this. There's a lot
good episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy. Jack, I know you don't watch it. Danny, do you watch Invincible? Did you see this episode?
Yes, I did. That's my Thursdays. I get home from work on Thursdays, and the first thing I do is I throw on Invincible.
Yeah, I was like pretty fired up for this episode to come. I didn't know when it was coming because I read the comics like 9 months ago. But yeah, did it like just start with the marks all coming in?
Yeah,
yeah.
At the end of the week's episode.
Yeah.
Oh, did they? Okay. And what'd you think?
So when I saw Conquest at the end of it, I was like, I knew they were gonna end us on a cliffhanger, and I was like talking to myself while they were having that conversation. I was like, they're gonna cut it off right here. They're gonna cut it off right here, and sure enough, they cut it off right before the good stuff happened. But obviously, the entire episode itself was good stuff, so I wasn't too upset. It was a great episode, and I feel like next week's is just gonna be crazy.
Yeah, no, next week's gonna be insane. I really did like this episode. I just think that this is such a good show, and like also Adam Eve's parents, well, her dad mainly.
Dude, that guy
That dude is the worst. That dude is awful. Hate that guy. But yeah, really good show. I think this show is. I think the complaint online too, like the animation's bad. Listen, just go touch grass. All right.
I mean, you're watching.
I'm watching. Yeah. Like if you write a show well and like the characters actually mean a lot, I could watch two stick figures like barely moving. And if it's compelling, it's compelling. I don't need it to be like the most fascinating animation in the world, and it looks good.
It's like that mid 2000s Adult Swim animation. I can live with anything. Like that's good writing's good writing.
Exactly, 1,000%.
Conquest is terrifying.
Is he actually? I'm actually pretty pumped. He's got like the Thanos glove on. I said Thanos glove, and some Invincible fan just swerved into oncoming traffic in anger. All right, let's talk Severance. With some folks calling it here, Charles, take it off. I don't want to spoil that for you.
Get Jack back.
Oh yeah, I thought he listens. All right, Severance. Yep, we'll tag team there. Severance. With some folks calling this the filler episode. What do we think of Severance episode 8, season 2, episode 8?
They're wrong.
I agree. I think they are wrong. This is one of the lowest rated episodes of the whole show.
I think it is the lowest rated, right?
Yeah.
It dropped like 3. It was like the last one was like a 9.4, and so this one was like a 6.7 on IMDb.
Yeah, which is tough.
I don't know. I admit that the content of the episode is important to the context of the show, gives us good background. I can also admit that I was a little bit bored. Like,
I think this came at the completely wrong time for this show. You had 2 episodes back to back that were not focused on the main group of characters. Like last week was, like Mark is in it, but like it's not Mark's episode. And you go from that to then this. Like this episode should have either come close to the beginning of the season or maybe after like Woe's Hollow. And then we had a week to sit with the fact that like, we don't know how they're all dealing with the fact that Irving is gone. I just think it was a bad week to put this episode.
I honestly like the end of it got me amped for next week.
Yeah.
Like her driving away in the car. Like that got me excited. I just think they do a lot of, I mean, I guess we're going to talk a lot about exposition later as well, but like they're setting up this town and we're just getting shot after shot. Like I want to say there's like a 2-minute, 3-minute sequence where it's literally just like shots of the town, which I would assume would be important. They're kind of just showing us that Lumen at its roots kind of just use child labor to get what they want. Like this show did exactly what it always does. It answers a question for us, but then it still doesn't answer like everything. You know what I'm saying? It answers a small question, but then creates a lot more questions around it. And I thought this episode was great. I really loved it. From like a cinematography perspective, I think it looked very pretty. But in terms of like the actual content, I think it definitely was a little bit slower than normal. So I think that's why it's getting a lot more hate than I've ever seen for a Severance episode, which is just kind of crazy because you have a bunch of people that are just like hating on this episode when TV shows have like this is just
that's what television had forever is like a filler episode. This is not even a filler episode, but like an episode that's not focused on the main group that gives you some more information.
Yeah. So I think we learned a lot of.
It's setting
I do miss Zach Cherry though, my king. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, but just like the short episode was this show does a great job of leaving you off on a point where you're like the edge of your seat. You're like, I'm ready to watch the next one. And that's why I think it's like binging season 1 was amazing because literally I was just able to go like straight through it as to where everyone else had to wait, I'm sure, a week to watch the next one. And I was very fortunate to be able to go like straight into season 2 like a week after I finished the season finale. So like this was a shorter episode, and I'm fine with that because why would they give us like the 5 minutes of her talking with Mark? I feel like that would just feel like a weird place to end the episode, especially with how they've ended it in the past. So I don't have as many problems with it as I think most people do. But
I'm with you. I have no real big issues with it. I think it was pretty interesting. I just think it came at the wrong time in the season.
Sure.
All right, let's call Charles back in. Let's talk some Daredevil because I gotta get. Let's see his name. Oh my god, he's on his phone.
Do we want to run, or do we want to potentially run Mickey?
Mickey first. Let's do Mickey
Yeah.
first.
I think.
right.
Yeah, I think
Let's do
Danny
Mickey
might
first.
have to head out soon.
Me?
Oh yeah, welcome back, Charles. All right, we're gonna do Mickey 17, then Daredevil. All right, let me read the synopsis here from Mickey 17, and then we can get right into it. Mickey 17, known as an expendable, goes on a dangerous journey to colonize an ice planet. Directed and written by Bong Joon-ho, starring Robert Pattinson, Stephen Yeun, Michael Monroe, and well, not really Michael Monroe. I don't know why he's listed third here on the credits. That's false. Really, Mark Ruffalo and Naomi Aki are the other two big credits here. All right, and Toni Collette, yes. I don't know why she's not listed here. IMDb, bad layout. IMDb, blame you for a lot right there. This movie's doing decent at the box office. Not like a big bomb, but doing decently well. And we disagree on it. So let's get into that.
I think
I'm
Charlie has a
gonna-
question really quick.
I'm going to stick around for the non-spoilers because
Yes, we'll start with non-spoilers.
Hunter, why don't you go first?
Yes, so I saw it timeline first. I saw it Thursday night. I like Bong Joon-ho. We talked about it a couple weeks ago with Danny as well. Like the Bong Joon-ho style, I think works well. I'm a big Robert Pattinson guy, like Stephen Yeun, Mark Ruffalo as well. I just think that this movie was a bit, I said in my review, like high on its own supply. I think this movie thought it was a lot smarter than it was. I think the commentary was decent, but I also think it was just like very heavy-handed in a way that I think Bong Joon-ho has done much better in the past. I didn't love. I really like Robert Pattinson's performance here. I just think it was not very. It was almost too much, for like a compelling character to follow the whole time. I liked Mickey 18 quite a bit. I just think it was a little unfocused overall as a movie, especially the Stephen Yeun going away for 30 minutes, coming back for 5, going away for 30 minutes, coming back for 5. I didn't super love the whole, I don't know. I like the aesthetic of this movie, but I just don't think it just wasn't compelling, which I think hurt it for me quite a bit. And I think that there was a more interesting story here that just didn't get told, which is fine. But it just really, at the end of the day, this just wasn't for me. That's okay.
Fair enough.
So,
I think, obviously, Danny, go ahead and.
I was gonna say you saw it before I did, Jack. So if you wanted to go.
Well, I think we're gonna find that we differ is like I think the comedy just they nailed it in almost every aspect for me. I just found myself constantly laughing in this movie. I think there was nothing subtle about the way they did their comedy, but that's what, in my opinion, made it so great. Is like everyone in my theater knew exactly what they were poking fun at. Everyone in the theater knew, like someone in my theater tried to like get the theater to like start clapping at one point, and I'm just like, I'm gonna like laugh. I'm gonna have a good time, but like I'm not gonna start clapping. But I think I had a really good theater experience. I went with a couple of my friends, and we were all like cracking up, having it. Like, I agree. I think this, in terms of Bong Joon-ho's filmography, from the 5 movies that I've seen, it does lean more towards the Snowpiercer, and obviously it being an English language film, but it is very zany. It is all over the place. This is by no means a perfect movie. So the fact that I think you have a couple reservations with it is 100% valid. I just think at the end of the day, it's like, is the comedy going to hit for you? Because especially in the first 45 minutes of this, they're just setting you up for basically the end of this movie. And if you don't, I think it'd be very boring if you're not like having fun with the humor in the first 45 minutes, I think that could be absolutely miserable for anyone to sit through. I think this movie looks amazing. I think that I was a little worried about some of the visuals, but I think continually like this, it just looked great. Specifically, I really liked the sequence of it, or I guess we'll hop into that later. Really loved Mark Ruffalo, like one of my favorite Mark Ruffalo performances. I think this is like goes hand in hand with his Poor Things performance, and he is at the top of his game. Not the top of his game, but he's hilarious. I really, really liked him, and yeah, I mean, I think Danny, I'm sure you're gonna have some similar points, but how'd you feel about the movie?
Yeah, so I saw it yesterday. Similar to you, Jack. Saw it with a friend. So that was always that's always a boon to a movie when I'm seeing it with someone who like is also having a good experience and like enjoying it. I feel like that kind of amplifies my enjoyment. Packed theater, a lot of people laughing. Like you said, comedy I thought was on point and very zany. I don't know if either of you guys have seen Okja. I know you guys have seen Snowpiercer, but this movie really felt like a combination of the two. Like a lot of focus on kind of, almost an environmentalism, like anti-capitalist aspect. And then also the tie-in from Snowpiercer, which is also very anti-capitalist. And I thought like some of the snow shots and like scenes like that were similar to like the outside of Snowpiercer. But this is where I think, having seen all of his movies, this is, and I obviously this is my opinion, so feel free to like anyone who's listening or anyone on the podcast feel differently, but I don't think Bong Joon-ho has ever been super subtle with his commentary in his English language movies. I think that in his Korean movies, there's a lot more subtlety, and I don't know if that's intentional or if that's just because when you're writing the movies it's tough sometimes for two languages to have the same like level of subtlety from a language perspective, but I think that Snowpiercer and Okja are both also very heavy-handed with the commentary they have either about capitalism or environmentalism or corporatism. And I think that's something that's also super prevalent in this movie. So even though it is extremely heavy-handed, I mean, they got them wearing red hats. Like it couldn't really be more obvious than that. But I enjoyed it. Like I thought it was funny, and I don't think that it's a bad thing necessarily. And I put this in my comment on Letterboxd too. Is I also think in an era now where we're seeing increasing amounts of media illiteracy, being a little overly heavy-handed and to the point is not necessarily a bad thing when you have people misinterpreting what the messages of movies are. So yes, like I agree, Hunter. Subtlety could have been probably increased a little bit, but that's never really been his style in the two English language movies of his I've seen. And so I really like that. And like also like Jack, you said some of the shots are just impeccable. Like I don't want to spoil any specific scenes, but like the scenes both in space and on the planet, like some of the most beautiful shots and some of the stuff that's happening to Mickey throughout the movie, like some of the montages, so to speak, I thought were just very visually appealing, even if what was occurring wasn't super visually appealing. But overall, like, and I will say, I think this is my least favorite of his movies, but I still gave it 4 stars because I really I enjoyed it. I had a fun time, and I think this is exactly what you do when you just won Best Picture and you get a huge budget and go out and you make a movie that you can just have fun with and enjoy. And the last thing I'll say too is I do really think that like Bong Joon-ho, yes, I feel like there's kind of an emphasis on making artsy films nowadays, like we talked a little bit about in the Oscar conversation earlier. But I was watching Letterboxd do their top 4 when they go up and interview people, and Bong Joon-ho was listing his top 4 movies, and he has The Thing on there, he has Psycho on there, he has what's the other one? Deliverance is on there. So he's got there's one other movie, Art of War, maybe. I'm not sure. No, Wages of Fear is on there. So it's a lot of movies that like are very like outgoing in the style of direction. Like I think The Thing is very like, I mean, have you guys seen The Thing?
Oh yeah,
I have unfortunately not.
The Thing.
Like from a visual perspective, it's not subtle. And I think those are the things that he really appreciates and enjoys in making a movie. So I think he just took an opportunity to make something that he really, really likes and had fun with. And I will never have a problem with the director making a movie that they have fun with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it from that aspect. Like, I think if you get like a blank check to do what you want, do whatever you want, because like that, those never really come up. I will say, like on the commentary aspect, I think my big issue sometimes with heavy-handed commentary is I think it almost hurts the commentary you're trying to make, because clearly Bong Joon-ho has a very particular opinion based on this movie about American politics. I do think it hurts his opinion, like the delivery of it, when it's so just like comically villainous and like there's just so incompetent, where it almost is like a caricature of the of like what people believe in when it comes to the politics of it all. I think that hurts it, because I think if you had not, you don't have to have a smarter villain, but I think if you had someone who is more like cunning and at least a little bit more of like an adversary to go against, like I don't think at any point did you guys feel like Mark Ruffalo was like a real like threat to anybody. Like I think that would have been at least a little bit more of an interesting conversation of it. I also do think Mark Ruffalo was super miscast here. I think he was easily the worst part of this movie. And the whole time I was watching it, I was wishing it was Walton Goggins. I was like, Walton Goggins would have ate up every moment of this. And I just think Mark Ruffalo basically just did Poor Things, which it's so weird because in Poor Things, I think he's so good. And then here he does basically the same thing. And like, I think it just doesn't work at all.
I do think that, and this is, I guess, my opinion. I genuinely think the people that they're parodying are truly like that lacking in cunning though, and are like that comically like evil and stupid. So I almost think that like, while it seems like a caricature, like it's almost not, because it parallels reality so much. And I also think it's important to mention too, this movie was not made like recently. This movie was made back in I think 2023, and it was supposed to
it's supposed to come out like a minute ago.
So it's kind of crazy how well he predicted certain events occurring, especially like toward the end of the movie. Without spoiling, I think you guys might know what I'm referencing. Something that occurred after the movie was made, but also happened in the movie, an attempt of some kind. So I thought it was kind of crazy how accurate the movie was with almost predicting current events that hadn't happened yet. And I also read too that this wasn't just like an American politics thing, and that he intentionally, there's aspects of Korean like kind of fascist-y dictators also in play here. So I don't want it to come off as like, oh, it's only just about American politics. Like it's not like a Trump thing. It's like all fascist dictator kind of thing. But yeah, Hunter, I see your point where
I just think it hurts the commentary. Like if it's just so over the top of like, look how comedically villainous our villains are. It's like, all right. That's where I think that sometimes like if commentary has like the great example of it is in Parasite. Like clearly the commentary there is like the classism commentary, but there are moments where like the rich family does have those moments of humanity, and like they do feel like real people who are just slightly like misunderstood. And I think just that little moment here and there of like the humanization of them, or at least the point where you can like, if in for an instant, no matter how far you disagree with them, just to relate to them for even like 0.1 of a second, I think makes the impact so much more for your commentary. But then again, that's not what he was going for, clearly. So like at the end of the day, it just didn't work for me, but clearly for you guys, it did work. So nothing wrong with that. It just, I guess, just didn't, tomato, you prefer what you like.
I definitely think it's something that not everyone is going to enjoy and or appreciate, just because, like you said, it's very over the top and like heavy-handed. But
I think that does hurt with Mark Ruffalo. I just don't think he's good.
Walton Goggins would have been a cool casting to see.
Yeah,
I liked Toni Collette in this as well. I thought she was the perfect pairing. I thought her and Mark Ruffalo, just the pairing was very.
I thought they had good chemistry.
Yeah, I did too.
But Robert Pattinson, I think, was very good here as Mickey 18 mainly. I wasn't the biggest Mickey 17 guy.
Yeah, his voice is weird though.
Yeah, that was my big issue. Is like he does like funny voices a lot in movies, but he's always supporting when he's in those funny voices roles. Like as the lead doing the funny voice the whole time, like I was just like, all right, like I
I
get
first
it.
heard that when he was like narrating. I'm like, is this going to be the voice we hear the entire movie?
Yeah. And then he's
But-
Mickey 18, he's just normal. I was like, all
Yeah,
right.
I got used to it though. It was fine. Like I just
Yeah.
thought it was a little goofy. All right, I do got to head out to catch a train, but really
Okay.
appreciate you just having me on again. Charlie,
course.
I know you're muted, but love you, buddy. Glad to see you after last week's debacle. I'll just throw it in there. Saw the first episode of Daredevil. I didn't really like it that much, but I'll leave it at that. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much.
Dude,
Bye.
see you, Danny.
See you, Danny.
Bye. All right. Anything else on Mickey 17? I think, like, overall, it just wasn't for me. It's kind of like the end of the day. And I think that's good. I think it's good to have things that aren't for you, good to have things that are for other people. Like, hey, like we said in the beginning, my score for anyone but you is much higher than everyone else's. So it's just some stuff isn't for you. But I still appreciate the fact that, like, after you get a blank check after winning Best Picture, do what you want. And clearly this is what Bong Joon-ho wanted to make, and I'm very happy that he got to do it.
Yeah. Have you seen those creeper plushies that are literally quite everyone on social media is demanding Warner Brothers, please send me a creepers plushie.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. Let's call Charles back in.
We lost one.
We did. He had a great speech for you. So if you want to go back and listen at the end of the pod, it'd be good. I know when you do your weekly re-listen. He did say some nice words about you to say goodbye. All right.
I don't believe you.
No, like seriously, Jack.
No, he really did. Yeah,
he did.
Right.
He
very,
did.
Very heartfelt, very kind.
Yes. All right. Daredevil Born Again. Hang on, let me toss my glasses on real quick.
No way.
Let me toss my.
Are you
glasses
taking them off again?
No, I'm not taking. I don't really care about spoilers for this one.
All right, Daredevil Born Again. 7 years after the ending of Daredevil season 3, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen has returned. Matt Murdock. This is Marvel's hard, like, R-rated show. We're back. We're gonna be mature. We're doing, mature television. Little background. Obviously, for those who listen to the pod, I'm a big Daredevil guy. I love me some Daredevil.
What?
I know, right? The first 3 seasons, I think, are some of the best seasons of television maybe ever. I think it's easily the best superhero TV. Clears Penguin. Sorry, Penguin heads up there. I'm one of those people, but, like, I do think it clears Penguin. So I was very nervous, but very excited to see the show return. So let's talk. I'll talk some episode 1 and 2. Jack, you said you watched episode 1 and 2. Charles doesn't care for spoilers, so he's also listening still. Opened up with Heaven's Half Hour. The very we're gonna go full spoilers, by the way.
No.
The very controversial choice to kill off a beloved Foggy Nelson in the first few minutes by Bullseye. Now, I will say, when you do this, I don't hate the choice, but when you do this, you have to back it up with a reasoning throughout the season. So we're going to see how this goes throughout the season, because, like, this is a big character choice to do. But so far, I think it works, because what it does is it makes Matt stop being Daredevil, at least for a while. And I like that choice. And also, he makes the choice. What it didn't end up working, but, like, he does make the choice to try to kill Bullseye, which is a choice he has not made. So he has to live with that, I think, is a great character choice. And so then we fast forward a year later, and we get to see Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk at 2 different, different points of their lives. Wilson Fisk is now running for mayor of New York, and Matt Murdock has given it up. He's had a new practice. He is not really dealing with Karen Page anymore, who moved to San Francisco, and he started kind of a new life. Jack, as someone who has not watched the original show, did this beginning part, like, mean as much to you, or, like, did you, like, all right, let's just set up what I want to see? Like, how did you feel about this as someone who didn't watch the original?
From the first moment I saw Foggy, man,
Vanessa.
It was
super red.
It was incredible. It felt right, and he was taken from us too soon.
He was.
Yeah, in all seriousness, though, I really have no connections to any of the characters. I mean, I think I watched, like, the first 5 episodes of season 1 way back when.
You're missing out, man.
So, but I know I'm missing out. But definitely for the diehard fans, full pun intended, Foggy obviously getting killed is probably like a massive gut to,
Yeah, I mean, it's his best
the energy
friend.
of the show, you know, Matt Murdock. I will say that sequence of them fighting in the stairwell was pretty sweet. I
And
really
see, that's
liked
the
it.
funny thing. Like, for those who've seen the original show, like my big issue with that scene is they felt weightless at points because the overdoing the CGI. Because like those oneers were like what the first show like would advertise basically is like, look at our one take action scenes, and like I liked it, but it just did feel a little weightless with the CGI.
I will say I did like how they mentioned, Fisk was like, yeah, we don't need vigilantes, we don't need Daredevil or people dressed up like spiders, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Oh.
I know this would be classic MCU, like, oh, let's bring in Spider-Man, but like, I feel like
But that's the point of these street level heroes. Like they should interconnect.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, I feel like they have to cross paths at least.
Well, obviously in No Way
once.
Home we saw him be his lawyer, and like I think
Yes,
that's good.
yes.
My big question is going to be, and this is what I love and hate about the MCU is like we're talking about the show, and yet the question is going to be, all right, Thunderbolts is happening in a few months. We already saw in the Thunderbolts trailer, like New York gets taken over by the Void. Are we going to get Wilson Fisk talking about that in season 2? Like, are we going to have, Matt Murdock?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the issue. Like, where the hell is Spider-Man during all this? Like, and that's the issue with the MCU is like what you could do in comics is it's no extra money to draw in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But like in the MCU, it's, we got to do a contract negotiation with Sony and do all this other stuff. Like I have found it shocking, not shocking, but like I find it a little frustrating watching this that, when Wilson Fisk is doing his press conference, one of the microphones on there doesn't say the Daily Bugle. Like it's just little things like that I think would, make it just a little bit better. But overall, as a Daredevil guy, I think this show has started off quite strong. Not perfect, but I am invested in what is to come. And I think it comes down to the fact that Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are giving great performances, and they seem to be focusing less on the action, which is not less on the over the top. Like we're here to just watch people kick butt, and like the actual legal drama of it all, which I think is great.
Yeah. I really liked where we were headed at the end of episode 2.
Agreed.
I'm not nearly as invested in the character arcs and the storylines that we have here for these characters just because I haven't really gone on these journeys with them. But
I mean, if it makes you feel better, like besides, Daredevil and Kingpin, these are all new characters.
Okay, great. Because there's like some people I'll see and I'm like, should I know this person? Because I watched recaps and I'm like, I think I should like know of these people. Obviously we got a little hint at the Punisher with like the
cops.
With the cops having the little tattoo on their arms.
Yeah, but like White Tiger is brand new for the show.
Yeah.
The only person you may know, like Wilson, Matt, and Vanessa, are like the only ones. And then BB Urich is Ben Urich's, I think she said niece on the show. And like Ben Urich was a big part of the first season of Daredevil. But besides that, I mean, it's kind of a soft reboot, season 4.
Yeah. I like the whole sequence with the witness. I think that's really fun. And I think obviously the last episode really kind of left on a cliffhanger in my opinion, because he's left to make a decision that he doesn't want to make, and he kind of reignites that the dropping of the blood is like signifies that, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. Yeah.
No, it literally is like
I'm back.
I'm thinking I'm back. It is that moment. I did love the little bits of Wilson Fisk like becoming Kingpin once again with the police chief showing him like the photos of his like son that people shouldn't know about.
Yeah, I love that.
I am very excited for the Michael Gandolfini like character arc because apparently that's like one of the best character arcs in the show that's coming. So I'm actually pretty excited to see how that turns out. And then we haven't even got to Muse yet. We just got some teases of Muse. But apparently Muse is like the big bad of this season with big ramifications going forward. So we're going to have to see how that goes. People are saying that, I mean, there's a comic story where like Foggy does like die, but then he like it's fake death and he's in the whole thing. So maybe Foggy does return for season 2. I'm more so Karen Page. Karen Page is the heart and soul, I think, of that first show, and it's a shame that we're going to get very little of her this season. But you know what? It is what it is, I guess.
I like that. Obviously, kind of pointing towards The Sopranos, but I love the fact that we're getting some sit down therapy.
Yeah,
with Fisk. So I think that'll be fun.
I love
to,
Vanessa.
like, specifically in The Sopranos, I think the best moments, or some of the best moments in that show, are some of his dreams and how he goes and talks to the therapist and how he learns about himself and how he navigates decisions that he has to make through the input that he receives from his therapist. So I am very excited that happened, and I'm like, all right, that's very Sopranos-esque, and I'm pretty pumped for that. And to make it even more juicy, it's Deadpool, or not Deadpool, Daredevil's new girlfriend is
as the therapist, which is so great.
So it's just obviously patient confidentiality, so she can't tell him anything.
I will be interested to see. So in the first show, there was a big focus on Matt's religion and how that impacted him. And I do think that there's gonna be a moment in the season where he like crosses that line, because clearly he tried to kill Bullseye in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there's gonna be that moment where he does kind of cross that line, and I'm very interested to see if they do dive into the religious aspects of Matt and how he handles that, because I think that's one of the more fascinating things about his character, and we just haven't got a whole lot of that quite yet in this show. It's only been 2 episodes, so we'll have to see. But
yeah, how many episodes are in this season?
There's 8 this season, I'm pretty sure, and then next season I believe has 10.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I mean, overall, like, I was just pumped that we're getting more Daredevil just in general. Like, I love this guy. Very, very excited to see more. And I'm just glad that it's not, the usual Disney Plus Marvel, like, well, this is good, I guess. Like, this is far more Loki than it is,
Echo.
Thank you. Yeah, Echo, which actually is referenced in this show. So I do recommend it.
Pick up a mentor.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
I'm something of a mentor myself.
Yeah, I'm something of a kingpin myself. He's so good. I love this show. But
he is great. His voice is insane. I don't know.
It's so perfect.
He's like, then we're going to go talk to the.
Yes.
I thought he was in the room with us for a second.
Yeah. I do love that all the promo pictures and stuff are like the old cast, but like they're just not in the show very much, which is funny. But yeah. Anything else on Daredevil? I'm just pumped that it's back and we get to watch more of it. Poindexter, or I guess, Bullseye. So funny. He just throws stuff and it kills people immediately.
Now who would win? Bullseye or Bullseye Brown?
I don't even know who Bullseye Brown is. Is that something
God, watch Paddington again.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did call himself that. That's a very niche moment in Paddington for me to call back to.
Bullseye Brown.
Still haven't seen Paddington, by the way.
Crazy. I bet when Punisher shows up, cannot wait. Also, Punisher's getting his own special on Disney Plus. That'd be cool. Apparently, they're doing no holding. Like, they're not going to hold back at all and just go full out rated R, which would be great.
Blood just like splatters on the camera and it like covers up part of it.
And he's wiping it off the camera. He's like, sorry.
Hey guys.
Hey,
it's
everybody.
Like a Deadpool thing.
Hey guys.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Thanks.
Ryan?
All right. Ryan, hello. Anything else? Is that it? Feel good?
Yeah. Feel fantastic.
You say that again.
But yeah, that is this week. Next week, big week. We got Novocaine, which is apparently great. We are going to talk the Electric State, which I am pumped to see. And yeah, that's about it.
Is the Severance finale next week?
2 weeks.
Okay.
So
and we are dressing up for it.
Yeah, we're dressed up for it.
Suits and all.
Suits and all. We enjoy every single episode equally. and then we'll talk some more Daredevil. We'll talk some, I guess, more Invincible now that he's going to fight. What's the guy's name?
Conquest.
But yeah,
Big old guy
with the Infinity Gauntlet. Another Invincible fan just swerved into traffic. All right. Well, that's episode 61. Appreciate you. Thanks to Danny for joining us. Mickey 17. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not for you, welcome to the club with me. I think I'm clearly in the minority here on this, though. But just, you know what? Hey, we ask for original movies all the time. We got one. People seem to like it. So, yeah. All right. Awesome. That's all, folks. That was my Porky Pig. Have a good one.